get the recording either way. Yeah.
Believe this, and I really feel like, yeah, we got such early classes. Is it also next was it Thursday as well online?
Yeah. All right. Good morning, guys. Can I please have a thumbs up if you can hear my voice? All right. Thank you. All right. Let's start. Since this is an online session, you can leave and join it anytime. It won't change anything. I'm still going to continue with the lessons itself. So if you guys want to ask a question, you can put it on the chat. I'll try my best to look at it. I did switch off your mic so that we don't disrupt class. So you can put everything on the chat for me, and then we'll start. So please go to your project, the one that we were working on. Okay. So this video will take a little bit of time because I want to finish the entire app, all of it. And then you guys, what you can do for me is to ensure that you watch it and finish it at home. So you're allowed to jump out anytime. As long as you join, you will have access to the recording. So this is where we stopped last time. And then there is one more thing that we need to do. So on the chat, we forgot to install the vector icons. That will ensure that when we run our application, because we're going to have two tabs now, to have those home icons and also the plus sign for the add menu, or in this case will be the books. So what I want you to do, you're going to go to the chat, you're going to copy that command that I send it to you, and then you will go and find you'll go to your terminal, then just grab a new terminal. For me, I did install this last night. I know that you're gonna have an issue because as I was running the project, the icons were not coming. It was showing like question marks to show that I was not able to pull the icons. So I'm just going to press enter to run it so that we can have it on our site as well. In fact, for group 1, we missed to install two things. So one of the things is this one for the icon, and then the other one I'll just take you guys through on how to install that one. So once you're done with that, you can just hide the command. You just have to go and import it. You can import it anywhere. So you're going to type import, and then it is called icons. Then you can just press tab. It comes from Expo/vector icons, which is the one that we just installed. So again, this will give us the icons that we need. So now, what I want you to do, we won't be able to run the project because it will give us errors. So please do me a favor. You are going to go to your project, where your project is coming from. We stored our project on the same place, so it should be videos. And then you will go and look for our project. It's called library info. This is for group 1. Then for group 2, it's called library app. We have done this group 2. You don't have to install it. This is only for group 1. So you just double click it for me. And then on the address bar there at the top, you're just going to click once, and then you type CMD, and then you press enter. And then what you are going to do for me is to say npm install -g export. We're going to use export to run our application. We didn't do this. So the reason that I'm doing it on the folder is because we need to install it globally so that we can be able to run it on our application. So you just press enter. It might take a little bit of time. Okay, so one thing that I didn't mention, so if you have done this, you would have seen that I didn't push -CLI there at the end. The reason we do this is because we wanted to pull the latest update. So that's how we do it. It is better like that. You can also use -CLI, it doesn't matter, it will run. So that's still okay if you want to do it like that. But for now, let's just go with this. Okay. So you can see now for me, don't worry about the packages. You might find that it doesn't match with the number that you have, but as long as you have installed it, then that is fine. Again, I'll go back to our application. We stopped last time by creating this variable that keeps tracks of the books that are going to be stored in our application. So the first thing, I'm going to use a lot of comments here because this is a video, and I want you guys, when you watch this later, you are able to follow up. So I'll try my best to ensure that each and every line I add a comment if possible. And then, so what we want to do now is that we are going to create our first screen or tab, which is the home page. So think again of the chef applications that you guys want, you're going to create for your part 2, even though this one is called library app, but it's the same thing. All of them, they need a home screen or a home page or tab, if you want to call it like that. So I'm just going to add a comment and say create a home screen or tab or page for the app. And then maybe I can go and say this will be the first page that the user sees when they run the app. Not sure how you guys gonna do this, like following along while you're watching a video. I'm not sure. Maybe you can join using your phone, and then you put your teams there on your phone, you put it on the other side, and then be able to follow along with your machine on the other side. So let's start with our home screen. So to create our screen, so you realize that the first thing that we did, just hold on a bit.
No, I just drove now. Just drove now to class. I'm sorry I'm late. Do you want me?
You can join anyway.
You can join anyway.
Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you can see.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
All right.
So I decided to host it online. Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Sure.
Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, so you realize that for each and every React Native, it must be within this function, the export default function. So what we did the first time is we cleared the return statement that is there, and that is to ensure that we create our own function. So our function, once again, we said, like, think of it as a machine that does any particular task that you want it to do. In this case, this machine will be responsible for creating the home page or the landing page of our application. So in order to do that, we start with the keyword function. It tells the compiler or Visual Studio that now you are creating a function. So in its mind now, since you wrote the word function, it's expecting you to give this function a name. So when you create a machine, for instance, you can't create a machine and then you just leave it like that. If you leave it like that, people wouldn't know how to refer to that machine. They wouldn't know. They might know how to use it, but they wouldn't know how to refer to it. So in order for people to be able to refer to that machine, it means that you must give it a name. And that name must be descriptive of what the machine is supposed to do. In this case, we are creating a home page or a landing page. So it is fitting for me to call this home screen, or you can call it home page, it doesn't matter. And if you remember correctly, we said that a good cheat sheet is when you are busy typing and then something turns to yellow or whatever color this is, just know that it's assuming that that's a method. So what you need to do is that you're going to put your round brackets so that it knows that you are creating a method. And a method after the round brackets must be followed by a pair of curly braces. So you press enter, you realize that now the error that we had disappeared. So a good practice, I do this, you don't have to do it. So we're going to have a lot of brackets here, a lot of curly braces. So to help me to track where I am, what I do is that I put comments. You can see this one, I'll say end of default function. So this helps me that towards the end, when I have a lot of curly braces, I know that I need to put my code inside of this guy. I don't have to go outside of it. And then for group one, I think you can take it from here. You have done everything. You can also go and clear so that we start from the same page, which is this one. And then I'll just go there and say end of home screen page, something like that. So, okay. So now every machine in React Native or every function must be accompanied by a return method. So here, what you need to remember, the word return here, it means it brings back your output or the results, how this screen is supposed to look like. So we need that return. So I'll say like add a return method to show how the screen supposed to look like. So I said it that I'll have a lot of comments as far as I can. So you just put a return. So a return here must have round brackets and then please close it at the end there. Okay, so we're saying that a return must, or it shows how our screen in this particular case is supposed to look like, and that takes you to the user interface. So what happens here is that when you're dealing with an user interface, this is what the users see when they are interacting or using your application. It means that what they see on the screen. So we know that in order to deal with what they see on the screen, we use a component that is called view. So you press shift less than sign, and then you start with the view page component. Then I'll just press enter. You'll see that return as well expects you to provide a view because it says this is what you're bringing back for the final result. So if you're making a smoothie using your Blender machine, which is can take it as your home screen, it means that the return will give you the actual juice or the smoothie that you have created. Then you can pour it inside of a glass. This is what you see. The final results, the endpoint. That is what it wants. So inside the view, you know the drill. We are going to style this so that it looks a little bit neat. So we're going to start with the keyword style. And then after that, we assign, we put an equal sign. It's called an assignment operator. And then you put your curly braces. Inside your curly braces, you have a name that you have written down there at the bottom, which is called styles. It allows you to tap in into the container that deals with anything that makes your applications looks amazing in terms of the looks. So we're going to put a dot there. You can see that it gives me a container there because if you scroll down there at the bottom, there is a container style sheet that has been created, but we're not going to use that. We will use our own. Yeah, in fact, we can use this. Let me just see what we have. Just flex background items, just 5 connects 5. We can use that one. It doesn't matter. Or you can create your own. So, all right. Now, when you put the views, you realize that when I put the / now, it doesn't allow me to type the comment because it thinks as like you HTML. HTML does not use 2 / as a comment. If you want to add a comment, you're going to start by putting the curly brace. Then you start with / that, and then you do it like that. So you write a comment inside. So I'm just going to copy this because I'll use it more often. I'll leave it there at the top. It's just to save time. You don't have to do it like that. So I can say this text is to display the app name at the top of the screen. Okay, so now we know that if you want to display a text, you use a component that we call text. So you just go straight and get your text component. I like to open it like this so that it gives me room to work. And then after that, I need to style this text. We said I want to display this at the top, which means that this should show the app name. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to do a style. Then we put our curly braces. We tap into the one container that holds all the different types of style sheet. And then now you see that container keeps on popping up because that's the only thing that is inside of this container called styles. But for this one, I'm going to write my own, which I'm going to call it header. And then this will be the style sheet that will be written by us. So the text that we need to, you can call it anything you want. You can call it MSA library. Guys, if people, you can assist me there by admitting people there. I'm sure you can see this button. Right. Not sure why am I not able to see this. Give me a second. I should be able to see this. Let me stop sharing and then I'll share again. Okay, I wanted to see this button there so that I can be able to tell when you guys ask a question or something. All right, so this will be library app. Whatever you want to write, it's just a name that will be displayed at the top of the application. And what's going to make it appear at the top of the application? It is us when we write our style sheet, which is this one there at the top. So we are done with this one. Now, the requirement is that we should be able to show how many books we have in our application. So I'm just going to copy this, put it there so that I can be able to write my comment and say, show how many books we have in the app. So now we need to be able to write a statement that will count the number of books that we install or we put inside of our application. So to do that, I'm going to use text because I'm just displaying here. It's just static text. And then I'll just add style sheet as well. You know the drill here. That will be style assignment. Then you tap into the container. And then we are going to call this count. We will create this style sheet for ourselves. What do we need to do here? It's just the text that we want to display. We say total number of books, something along those lines. So I'm intentionally putting a space here because the following value that must be showed must be a number. And this number must be able to count. If I add 10 books, I don't go and type 10 and then it picks up. It should be able to pick up by itself when you're busy adding the books. So how do we get the number of books that have been added into our application? The answer to that is simple. So we have a variable here there at the top, this one that is called a book. Remember the state and the use state. So this one will track the current state. How many books do you have? So far we have 0 because we have nothing. But the moment we start adding, this value will be updated by this guy. So if I add 2 books here, the set books will accept those 2 books and be able to come here and update this one internal. Then this one now, if we come back now, we'll have 2 books. So how does it do that? It does that by counting how many times you have added this particular thing that you want to capture, in this case, which is books. So if I want to know how many books I want, it means that I'm going to call this guy and ask him, how many items do you have stored inside of you? That will be like in a classroom. So let's say you guys, like for instance, now we're in a Teams classroom. Now, the department wants to know how many people have attended this class. So in order for them to get that number, they need to be able to join this meeting or to go to the meeting recording and go and able to fetch the attendees record, because it does show an attendee. And then it will give them how many people have attended. So the idea is you won't be able to know the number of items or the number of students you have in this class without you going straight into that particular class. So in this case, we are going to tap in to call this guy and be able to get the length of the class. So how do we do that? You do that by putting your curly braces, because now you need to tell the compiler that you are switching. You are switching from HTML now back to TypeScript or JavaScript or React Native, whichever way you want to refer to it. So now I'm going to call this guy because that's the one that holds the books. You write it exactly as it is because he's the one who keeps records to the items that we have. You put a full stop. And then when you put a full stop, now you can see all the suggestion of all that you can do with this particular storage that we have. So for me, I'm looking for length. What does the length do? The length, it counts how many people have attended the class. So in this case, it will be 6. Then it gives me 6 as a number. That's the one that will show me here. The number will be displayed here, there. So that's why we need to do that. So think of your chef as well. All right. So now we said last time when we met that we anticipate that we are going to have a lot of books. We don't know now. We are designing this for a user. So we want to make sure that we cater for them. We can't restrict them and say that they can only capture 2 books. In that way, then the application does not save the papers. So how do we do that? We can use something that will allow us to be able to scroll up and down if we have a lot of items. Last time we did scroll view. I showed you guys to do that. You can still use it if you want, it doesn't matter. And then for now, I said, let's do something different. We went with flat list that allows us to scroll up and down. So now I'm going to create that flat list that will be able to help me to move up and down to see all the books that will have been stored inside of our application. So to do that, you say the less than sign, and then you type flat. You should see it, the first one that pops up. This is called flat list. So now I can tell you that flat list it won't take something. When you do it like this, you realize that it's crying, that you have an error. So that tells you that you can't close it like that. You will get an error if you do it like this. So what you want to do is that you never memorize all of these, guys. Just try and see. If it doesn't work, just go and do the self-closing component. The self-closing component is that you just put the / there at the end, and then you leave it like that. So how I do it is that I know that this component is supposed to hold all the different types of books. And when we talk about a book now, we're talking about everything that identifies a book. What is it that identifies a book? It must have a title, it must have an author, it must have a volume, category, and a year. All of these things, they define one book. So if I want to show all of these books, it means that I must have something that is going to also capture all the attributes or the characteristics that makes up a book. So I'm going to go towards the end there, press enter, or all the way just to go down. So what I'm going to do is that I will add a comment, because you don't have to do this. I do it because it's a lot of angles, brackets. It confuses me. So I'll say end of flat list so that I know when I come back. Okay, I hope we're moving together. So now, I thought I unmuted all of you guys. Okay, it means that you can talk to me. But if you have a question. All right. So now, what we are going to do now is to be able to go and grab all the books, be able to put it inside of this flat list so that we can scroll up and down. And I'm stressing this part because I want you guys to put it, to remember that when we refer to a book, we're referring to everything, all the characteristics that refers to the book itself, the title, the volume, the year, the author, all of those things. So we need to be able to get everything that has to do with the book. So now what we need to do now, the first thing is, let me see, first tell flat list to use the books array to get the information about the book. So an array is this one that we created. We're going to talk about this. I was talking to Anthony today and suggested that I should introduce you guys to array. We'll talk about it. Just know that an array in programming, remember the last time I told you guys that we have what we call variables. So it's different types of containers or storage. So a variable, it only allows you to store one value. That is its downfall. So what happens if you want to store like maybe my name and the year of birth? So a variable, once again, maybe I should go back there. A variable, we talked about the data type where I told you guys we have string and number. For now, I said let's stop with that. So a string is just weights and the number, it's just a number. So when you're creating this variable / container, in programming, it's very specific. You can't combine a number and weights and you store it, you put it in one container. If you have a container that's supposed to store like bananas, it should store bananas only. That's the rule of a data type. If a data type is string, it means that it stores string. The string, like it has an exception. You can write numbers, but it knows that it is a string either way. But when you say it's a number, you can't go and write weights. It will cry and say that that is not a number. So we use arrays that allows us to store different types of data types. So one container, I can store bananas, apples, anything inside there. So we have different types of arrays. You can think of an array as a table that you draw on Word document. A table has a column and a row. That's how arrays works. It allows you to have a column and rows when you want to store. We'll talk about that. It's not really important here. Just know that the reason we used array there, it's for us to be able to store different types of characteristics of our book. So that's why we need to do this. So now, in order for me to fetch the details or the information of a book, we use this keyword that we call data. It's self-explanatory. It fetches data. And it's telling you that that data that you are fetching, it must use a data or the storage or the container of an array. It says it should be an array because it's looking at information that it's not one-dimensional. If you say, I don't know if that makes sense, and information that can be represented in a column and also in a row. Like for instance, we have a book, that will be our column, and then our rows will have author, year, volume, and so on. That will be the different types of rows that we have in that particular table. All right, so it says data, and then it wants us to provide where am I supposed to fetch that particular data. Then you're going to put an equal sign or assignment. I'll refer to this as an equal sign for now, but it's called an assignment operator. Then you're going to put your curly braces. What is the name of our array that consists of the different book information? We know that because we define it. It's called books. So we are going to write books there. That. We're done with that part. Now, you are inside a list of different types of books. So now, what's going to happen now is that each and every book is referred by something that is unique to that particular book. Let me give you an example now. We have a lot of students. There's many of you guys who are doing this qualification. How do you think they know all of you guys? Do you think they know you guys by your names, surnames? No, they don't, because you might have shared the names. You might also share the surname. How do we know that when you have written assignment, we know where to allocate your marks to be able to give you your academic record that is not somebody's academic record? We use what we call unique identifier or an ID, identity number, which you have. At Home Affairs, you have an ID number that is unique to you. Home Affairs, when they want to deal with you, they refer or they know you by your ID number because nobody shares that number except you. Again, when we come back to the case of school, we know you guys by your student number. So each and every book here must be assigned a number that we will be able to identify that particular book over and over without mixing the details of the book. So that is done that for us behind the scene, we can be able to call that ID number, that unique number, so that we can be able to get all of our book. So in order to do that, we use a keyword. It's called key extractor. Don't forget that. It's called key extractor. It's descriptive. What do you get using it? You get a key. The key is unique to that particular item so that we don't get same items when we call them. So the key instructor, it will give each book a unique ID, which React Native needs it in order for it to list all these different types of books without them conflicting. So we're going to start by typing key extractor, just like that. So the key extractor, I should give you an idea. Those are two ways. The first one, it says that I need to be able to extract a key. And then the second one, it says, okay, once I've extracted a book, then I can assign this particular key. So now, what we are going to do now, we are going to say, okay, for all the books that are stored in our array, which is books, give it a key. So how do we do that? So we start, put your round brackets inside. You can see that as soon as you type it's asking you to provide an item, which that item will be a book, and then it says index. We said in programming, we start typing from 0, and then we say that that will be assigned to the very first thing that at the top. So you want you to specify the index number, and it tells you that what you're doing here, it's all string. So I know that you're going to get an error if you go and specify the ID. So you let the compiler, which is Visual Studio, to go and get its ID by itself. To do that, put an underscore there. So an underscore says, go and ignore the first book that is there. Not really ignore, overlook it for me, because the first book, when we run it the first time, it doesn't have an ID. So we can say, look at the first book that is there, ignore that if it doesn't have an ID for now. It's okay. Then you put a comma and you say, I'm going to assign an index number. The reason that I'm not calling it index number is because index, it's a reserved keyword. We will have an error when you can name it anything. So I'm saying, okay, underscore, ignore the book. We know we have the list of books. For instance, it kind of makes sense because we don't have a book the first time. And so ignore that part, and then as soon as you have a book, then give it a index, which would be 0 in this instance. So that's how we are going to start. But we need to specify, because we need to convert this ID number to a string. If you remember the method or the suggestion, it was telling us that that unique identifier number should be a string. So we need to convert that into a string, because an index, it's a number. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are numbers. So we're going to use an arrow function, equal sign, and say it goes to. Then you take the name that you just created there that represent your index or whatever you've called it, and you put a full stop and say you want to convert this to a string. It turned yellow, meaning that it should be a method. And then now we have turned that unique number into a string. Now we know that we have something that is going to give an ID to all different types of books. All right. So now, for each and every book that we have, we are going to define or show how it's supposed to look like. In a sense of, now it's you as a designer now. See what you've done on your wireframe? When you say that you want the menu to appear in a tile or in a card format, this is where you come in now. So what we're going to do now, we're going to state or show how we want our books to appear. So in order to do that, you are going to use what we call render. Remember, render, it takes whatever code that you have done and be able to give it to you on your screen. It works in a similar principles with the return statement. So you're going to say render item, give me back what you have, and then I'll just tell you how it's supposed to look like on the screen. So that's what I'm trying to do now. So in order to do that, we are going to use create a name. So I think for group 2, I've given them an example that you have a storage now. The storage is filled with a lot of smartphones. And I'm sitting somewhere in an office, and then I get one of you guys to say, okay, go into that storeroom and fetch me an iPhone 14. So I asked the question that if I send you like that, you will go, but if the storeroom is big and it has a lot of phones, it will take you ages to find that iPhone 14. Because I just told you that go and grab me an iPhone. I didn't tell you where you must look. I didn't tell you in which box it's stored, which aisle. I didn't. I just said go and fetch the phone. Then it will be difficult. So that part is handled by the key instructor, where I say specifically in this aisle, you'll see a box that is named 15. That is an ID. And then you'll go straight to that box because it will point you to where the phone is stored. So now you grab the phone with this line of the key instructor, you have it. You need to bring it back to me. And I say that I don't need the box. I just need a phone itself. So you're going to unbox it yourself and bring it to me. So you're going to decide how you want to give it to me. You want to give me with a charger, you want to give me with earphones, you will remove the plastic cover, you leave the box. That is up to you, how you want to do it. And this is where the render item comes in and say, okay, I've grabbed I've the phone that you requested. But in terms of me presenting it to you, I choose to give it to you in this box, and then I'll just remove the plastic cover. I'll enter the SIM card. That is up to you. This is where now it comes in. The moment you come back now, you want to bring it to where I am. And then how it works is that instead of you giving it to me, you're going to give it to someone. That someone is going to give me that phone, and then I'm able to get hold of that phone. I'm explaining that concept because the second person is the one that we always need to refer to. So if I find that there's no SIM card, I'm going to ask the second person that you gave and say, okay, the phone is missing a SIM card. Go and grab me a SIM card, and then you just go back to the storeroom and fetch the phones, something along those lines. And then this is what I want to do now, is to create that final person who's supposed to accept the package. In fact, I think the better example will be order something on Take a Lot, and then the people who work in the warehouse will identify that that is the key instructor, and then they give it to the shop itself, where you let's say the driver, and then they give it to the shop, they wrap it up, and then the driver, which comes in, which is the render item, is the one that brings this phone to you in a package that they give it to you. So I want to create a driver now who's able to give you that particular package. And how do we do that? We do that by starting by creating the round brackets. Please pay attention to what it suggests. It says that it's looking for an information. That information, it says, you must give me a list of items of information. It's looking for a book. So this driver, I'm going to put the curly braces there. This driver is the one that is going to give me that particular phone. I'm going to call this driver item. So whenever I need to get, let's say the driver forgot one package, I'll call the driver and say, you forgot one package. The driver will go back and fetch it. In this case, this item, guys, it gains access to the books array. So now, instead of me going to the books, now I can refer to items, and then I'll be able to get the characteristics of each book. All right, I hope that makes sense. So what I want you to do, you'll see that there is a first curly brace, the closing one, and then you have a bracket there. So click before the yellow one, put a space there. And then now we are going to say, I'm deciding how you're supposed to get this package, which is the user interface. I want to tell you how it's supposed to look like. So we use an arrow function. You just put an equal sign and greater than sign, and then you put this. So open, enter. I told you guys we're going to have a lot of curly braces there. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to put comment and say end of render items. Okay, so inside of our render items, what do I want? I'm creating how it's supposed to look like, which is the user interface. That tells me that I'm dealing with a view. So I'll say view, close it. I'm surprised that it didn't give me the closing tag. Now it decides to give me. Okay, I have my view now. So the first thing, as you know, is to apply a style, how I want it to look like. So I'll just say curly braces, tap into our styles container, and then put a dot there. So now we're going to show the book items in bold. So I'm just going to call this, you can call it anything, book item. Okay. And then now I want to we're going to grab the title of the book that is already stored inside the book. Now we are not writing, we are fetching what is stored. So this is a text. I'll just fetch a text. And then I'm going to add a style once again. Fortunately, we can't run away from styles. We have to do this over and over. And then our styles will just say styles dot. So let's go and name this book title, because this is for our book title. I'll share with you guys style sheet. I've used AI to generate the styles so that it saves time. I'll share this towards the end of the class. If you guys are not here, I'll put it on Arc, and then you can just go and put it. I'll show you where it's supposed to go so that you can run your app and see. You can use this for your part 2. I don't mind, as long as you change day and day. I'm fine with that. So we need to grab an title. We already have a title of a book, which is stored there, the characteristics there. We just want to grab what is written there. So I'm going to switch to JavaScript there, which is our curly braces. So remember the driver now. So I'm calling the driver, who is an item, then I put a full stop. I want you to notice something. Now, all the characteristics of all the books, now they appear, all of them, because we have given this item guy an access to see everything that has to do with our book. I want to grab title, so I'll just select title there. Okay, and then the next thing that we want to show, we're going to show all the details that defines a book. So in our previous class with group 2, I said you can just redo this. Let me just show it. You do it to grab all. You just change there. The next thing maybe that you want to get is the book details. And then you can just go there and change. And then it will be category. No, I think the styles is not descriptive. You can say category. And then you go there and say category. I think you guys get an idea. So I'll just do another one. And then we get, I think, let's do this in order. Let's find book author. Then I'll just grab dot author. You can get a drill. So you can do this until you finish all of them. It's fine. There is a shortcut of doing this. This, if you do it like this, it means that you have a style sheet for this, you have a style sheet for this, and a style sheet. I hate this thing when it pops up. You have a style for all of these things. So there's a shortcut to do this. Please don't get me wrong. It's still completely fine to do it like this. So I'm going to shortcut this. So instead of doing it one by one, I'll just say book details. This is to grab for every single details that we have. And then I'll just come there. Let it open a space there because I want to show all of them in once. I know that they will share the same style sheet. So I'll put my curly braces for the first one. We're still going to do it the same way. Then I'll say author. Here's the trick. So now I'm just going to space, put this line there to separate, get another one, item, dot, sorry, we have category, same thing. This line, it means nothing, it's just to separate. And then I'll do item, dot, We have title, we have category, we have author, and then we have volume. And then we have item dot, I think, here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's about right. Okay, now we're done with that part. So what we need to do now, this is where I said like put comments at the end of curly braces so that you know. You can take breaks if you want. I'm still going to continue until I finish this application. Thanks for attending. And then now, here's the thing. Our application now we're designing the same as your part 2. At the beginning, it won't have any menu items. So you might get an error when you run it the first time because it's expecting you to give it some menu items, or in this case, to give it some books. So now you need to think that I might get an error. So what am I going to do in order to catch that error so that my application does not stop running? So what we are going to do now, it says, you're going to interact with the application and say, if there are no books, for you guys, it will be menus added, you will show this message so that it doesn't break, and put it towards the end of this closing bracket, round bracket, and curly brace for the render must be there. So now you are going, remember this, we store this inside of a list. So I'm going to call list or empty component. This guy is very helpful. In case you don't have anything, you can just display a message that you want. So I want to display a text to tell users that if you don't see that there are no books, don't worry. The books are still coming. Something along those lines, whatever message that you want to type. So we know that when you want to type a message, you use the text tag. Right, no style here, just blank. So we can say no books added yet. And we can say go to add book page to add some. Something along those lines. It's up to you how you want to write it, but that will be just a static text. So now I'm going to add a little bit of style here so that our text does not become smaller or it's not fitting to what we want. So what I'm going to do now is to write this particular style. So I'll just say style, and then I'll just say equals to, and then I put my curly brace. Then I'm doing it a little bit different now because I'm doing it here instead of doing it there at the bottom. I'm just defining, we call this inline style. I'm sure they've been introduced this to Word or web development. We have external style sheet, which is something along this line, but it is for another file, or an inline, which is what I'm doing now. So I'm just going to put this to 100% so that it's able to fill the entire screen regardless of the screen that the user is using. Okay. So far. Okay, so we're done. We're done. And then our home screen is finished. So you can see that it makes it easy for me to know where our home screen is finished because I can just go there. So I know that my home screen is finished now. So now what I need to do is to create another screen, which is, remember here we said, maybe here, let's show the user, not that one, add book. So I'm just gonna put this curly brace there. It doesn't do anything, it's just for statics. Aesthetics, that's the English word. So this, it means that we should have a page that is called add book. And this is what I want to create now. So I'm just gonna go at the end of home screen, inside of the closing curly brace of the default function. So I'm just going to add a comment then say create another function to add a book. In your mind is to add main. Again, we know to create a machine or a function, we start with the keyword function, and then we're going to call this add book screen. I'm dealing with screen here. If it turns yellow, it means that it is a function. So I'm just going to move this down there so that it doesn't distract us. There. Then give it a body of a curly brace. Please, if you have an error, make sure that your function is inside this curly brace. If you have an error, make sure that you remove the return statement at the beginning before you started creating functions. So now, what we need to do now, okay, remember that in order for you to add a book, you need few information. What is those information? You need a title, you need an author, you need a volume, you need a category, and then you need a year. So it means that when I'm busy typing, maybe let's say I'm filling in that particular form and say it wants a title, and then I type the title. Something must be able to grab what I just typed and store it into that title so that we can refer to it. We've done it for the first screen. We said we use state and use state. Use state, it grabs what you typed and then go and store it to the current state, which will be the title in this case. So we're going to do the same thing that we did. So let me just add a comment here and say create variables. Think of variables as a container. Please don't forget that. Container that should hold or store the different types of book characteristics. If I butcher the English there, I don't teach English, so forgive me. So what's going to happen here is that what will happen is that every time when the user types the information in response to the form I'm referring to, the title, the input, I will move it down there so that I don't run out of space to type. The set. So think of the word set. It could have a different name, just as long as you see the word set. The set, which could be the set title, author, and so on, will hold the information and update the value, which is the state, something along those lines. So that's what I want to do now. We've done this to create a variable. We use the keyword const, and then you use the square brackets. So the value, it's represented. Remember that it takes two values. You have a state and the set state. So the state, it is the value. The set, it's the one that grabs whatever the user types in and be able to put it into the value. So we are looking for a title. So I'll just type a title. Then I'll just say set. So the set, the rule is you must use the exact same name there, but you start with the word set. And then you only change the capital letter of that particular word. So this will change to title. So it will be set title. So now what React Native wants is to say provide the starting value. So you're saying that this is the title. And this is where if the user types the title, but what is the current value? What is stored at this moment? So at this moment, we can't go and write anything because we don't have books, and that we leave it to a user. So it means that we must leave it, set it to an empty value. This is a string. So how we do it, you put an assignment operator, you say use state. It turns yellow, meaning that you put your brackets. What is the current state? So you just put an empty curly brace. It's empty. I have nothing now. The user will set that and it will update automatically. So I'm setting it to empty. So let's do the second one. Const square brackets. We need author. Make sure it pops up as we type in. And then again, the rule, capital letter, and it must match exactly. And say equals to use state. We set it to empty. So all of them will be set to empty. When I do the last one, then I'll just copy and paste. Const square brackets. We're looking for volume. So that will be volume, comma. You set again capital letter V. Volume. Assignment operator, use state. It's a method. We set it to empty. And then we close. So we are left with category, and here I'll just copy this, paste it twice, and then I'll just keep on changing. So I'm looking for category, and then that will be set capital C, category. And then we're looking for year, capital letter year. Perfect. So now we have all the variable to accept: title, your author, volume, category. Let me just explain what's happening here. So since we're relying on the user to provide us with the information for our book, we are saying that as it starts, make sure that it's assigned. It doesn't have any value because the user has not typed anything. So what's going to happen is that there will be a form that will ask the user to type in the title. So you say enter title, and then when the user types the title of the book, the said title will grab that value that the user has typed in and come and store it inside of this title. Now the title will have that name that you have typed. Same thing as author, volume, category, and year. And then all of these things will go inside of the book that we had just created there at the top. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so now I have all the details. So what you need to do now is that each and every time whenever the details are completed, you should be able to create a book, because all of these 5 things, characteristics or attributes, they define one book. So you got to make sure that all of these things, they are bound together in order to create a book. So we refer to this as an object. All right, think of a house plan. So I can draw an house plan now. I use it and then I build a house. And then someone comes and borrow my plan. They go and build another house. So from one plan, we're able to create two houses. They can change it there and there if they want, but you get an idea. So every time, whenever I want to build, I can use the same map or the blueprint to build a house. So I just paid once, and then now I'm able to build the different types of houses using one plan. So this is what we're going to do now. We're going to create an object. That object will have the information that is coming from the user when they type in the author, the title, the volume, the category, and the year. And all of these things will give us a book. So all that I was saying, that when you type, grab this, put it there. After grabbing that, what do you do with it? You need to create that particular book. So I'm just going to add a comment there and say create a new book object with the information that comes from the user input. Okay, so let's create a variable and say const. Let's call this new book. Then this is how we create an object in React Native. So we're going to call this book. We have done it there at the top because it needs to be stored in that array. We'll say equals to our assignment operator. The book, it must consist of a title. We have that. It must be followed by author. And then it must also be followed by, the order doesn't matter, but try, what did I do now? Try to make sure that it meets this. So here the order doesn't matter, you can just switch it around, but when you come here, make sure that you match that. Okay, and then we are followed by category, and then yeah. So all of this, it makes a book object. Okay, so now let's take this new book and we add it to the list of books using the set. The same thing that we have done. So we're going to say, now take the book object and add it to the book list using the set book. So the same thing that we have done, you say set books and then it turns yellow, brackets. And then inside of your brackets, now, what you need to do now is that we have a lot of books inside. So what you want to do is that instead of typing all of those things, you can just put dots there, 3 dots, and then you can just say you're adding this into books, and then that will be new book. There. Then close the statement. Syntax won't change. Even for your menu or your chef application, you do it like that. So now I think let's write it like this. After adding a book, clear the form so that the user can add another book should they want to. Okay, that is good practice, because after adding a book, you want to make sure that I'm able to add another book, because as we said, that the user might want to have a lot of books. All right. So
especially because of
let's do that.
guys. People eating milk.
That's fine.
Show me a wedding. Perfect.
All right. So to do that, we do the same thing that we've done there, is to set title empty. So we're just clearing whatever it's being typed. So set author to empty. We have done all of these things there at the top. So maybe let me just do all of them. Set volume. Set category. If you feel like there's some parts that you don't understand, you're allowed to copy that particular statement, put it on AI of your choice, ask it to simplify it like to a 5th grader in plain English. You will see that it's very useful if you use it like that. I do that a lot sometimes when I get concept that I don't understand. Just ask it to use relatable examples. Then I'm able to understand more. So set here. So now I've cleared all the fields, all of them. And then after adding a book, let's say after adding a book, show a message of success. And to do that, we use what we call alert dot alert, and then we are going to say whatever you want to write. In fact, that is up to you. Let's say book, because it's just one book. Book successfully added. Okay, now you will see that we have an error to our alert. So what we're going to do now, you're going to pass it there at the top. Scroll all the way up. So here where we import it from React Native in front of flat list, just put a space there and type alert. So the alert will just give you a pop-up message. And then we should be fine now. Okay, let me go back. Like I moved a little bit faster. So find the import statement where you imported style sheet, text, view, flat list, and put a comma. And then you put alert there. And then it should solve this error there. Right. So we are almost done, saying on. Then all we need to do now is close our statement. And then I'm just going to, let me see the function, where did it end? Okay, and or add book function. You don't have to do this. It helps me a lot. All right, so now I want to check some. Yeah, I missed something here. Okay, so yeah, I missed something. We're going to get a huge error at the end. So what we missed now, we need a function that allows the user to click this add button, because at this stage, as we are, we can't type it. You can't be able to click. So please, pardon me for that. Go all the way and find this code of statement. Everything that we have written, it's fine. Let's leave it like that. Find this code of statement and then just create an empty space there. Because at this stage, we won't be able to click our functions. So we can say create a function that will allow users to click add book page or tab or screen. Okay, so we'll say const. Then let's call this hello add book. So we're going to do it differently because it will give you an error if I create a function inside of another function, but we can do it in a different way. So we just put an assignment operator. This is a shortcut, by the way. It's a shorthand of creating a function. It's the same thing of you starting with the keyword function. And then inside there, we want to check if any text field is empty, so that the users, they don't leave it blank. So all the information must be completed. Please do this for your part 2 as well, because if you're creating a menu system, you shouldn't leave any ingredient wherever they want there, because it won't be complete. So we're going to use an if statement, say check if all input fields or boxes are completed. If not, return an error message to force users to complete all boxes. Okay, let me bring it to the next page so that we can have a space there. Okay, we use an if statement, just like we have said. So we'll say, if I use an if statement, so we can, let me explain this, how it works. So let's say if you pass the module, what will happen? If you pass the module, you progress to first year, right? So it's a conditional statement. So you need to meet one condition or you don't meet it. It only can go two ways. So let's say they say to vote, you need to be 18 years older and above in order for you to vote. So if we have someone who's 16 years and old, they can vote because they don't meet that 18. But if you have someone who's 21 years old now, they can vote. So now in programming, we call these conditional statement. So meet this condition in order for 1, 2, 3 to take place. If you don't meet this condition, then this will happen. In this case, we are saying that if a user decides that they don't want to fill in the volume category, they want to leave it blank, they have not met the condition that we have set. Remember the condition that we are setting, say, in order for us to have a full book, I need to know the title, I need to know the author, I need to know the volume, the category, and the year it was published. So all of that makes up a book. So we don't have any room of anything that's supposed to be missing. So we are going to write a condition that forces users to do that. If they violate one of these conditions, then it will trigger an error message and say, okay, you have not completed all books, go and complete all of them before you can progress. So we'll just lock the application that if they decide to fill in one area, they can be able to add a book because we want to have complete information in order to be able to locate the book. So now we have two things. If you do it the right way that we want, then you can proceed to go and add a book. If you don't, then you get an error. So the don't part is specified by an exclamation mark in coding. So an exclamation mark means not. Please don't forget that. An exclamation mark means not, or you can say don't. In this case, you didn't fill all the pages. You didn't fill the title. You didn't fill the author. You didn't fill the volume. You didn't fill the category. So all of those things. So now, this leads me to introduce two things, what we call logical operators. So the logical operators, it works with conditional operators as well. So let's say with the example that I said, you need to be 16 years old or 18 years old to vote and above. What will happen if I'm 56 years old? I'm still above 18. I'm allowed to vote. So you can see that you have a number, say 18, and we say above. We didn't put the other values. As long as it's greater than 18, you're allowed to vote. So now introduces two things that we call or and and operator. Don't write this. Just want to talk about this operator. We have two logical operators. One is called or operator and the other one is called and operator. So in this case, where we say you must be 18 years old or above in order to vote. So meaning that I need to meet one condition in order for me to vote. I could be 18, I'll vote. I could be 20, I can vote. So that is fine. I hope that idea it's getting into you. The and operator or the or operator needs you to meet at least one condition. So if we set three different types or two different types of condition, we'll say, okay, you must be 18 years old and above and below 60 to vote. So if someone comes and say they are 65, they are not eligible. because they didn't meet the 18 and the 60 years. But if they are 59, they qualify to vote because they meet one of the condition, which is greater than 18 and less than or equals to 60 years old. So with the OR operator, you only need to meet one. So in coding, you learn this next year. We have what we call true plus false. This equals to true when we are talking about an operator. So what does it mean? It means that only one condition, which is the one that I just explained, needs to be true. The other one, even if it's false, it doesn't matter. So the whole statement becomes true. Now, the AND operator, now this one is different. It says that you need to meet both conditions in order for you to qualify. Let me take this example to a discount. So let's say Pick n Pay is running a discount now and say, okay, you need to have spent 1,000 and at least have bought 10 items in order to get a 10% discount off your overall cost. So they say you need to have spent at least 1,000 rands and bought more than 10 items. And then if you have done that, then you get a 10% discount. So if I've spent 1,000 and above, and then I bought 9 items, I don't qualify for that discount because I didn't meet the two conditions. If I have 11 items and then I spend like 950, I don't qualify for that discount because I didn't meet both the criteria or the condition. But if I spend like 1,000 and I bought like 15 items, now I spend the 1,000 that they want, I've surpassed the 10 items that they want, it means that now I qualify to get a 10% discount. So taking this now to an AND operator, now this changes becomes false because you need to meet both conditions. So that will mean true plus true equals to true. It will always remain like that. So again, the AND operator, the OR operator in programming, we use the two signs. I'm getting somewhere with this. We use the two vertical sign, that means OR, and we write them in capital letters, not small letters. And then the AND uses these guys, the two ampersand. Vertical lines or operator, the ampersand signs, both of them means AND operator. Please don't forget that. You'll thank me as well next year. Okay, so the whole reason I went through that, it's about what I want to do now. Remember, we want to check if the user has supplied all the information that we want. If they don't, it triggers an error. If they supplied all of them, now they can proceed to add a book. So we just type if it is accompanied by curly braces. Okay, all right. So it is accompanied by, you put your round brackets and then it has a body, which is the curly braces. So inside the round brackets, this is where you write your condition. So we're saying if there is no title. Remember I said the exclamation mark says not. If no title or no title. You can read it in English. If you don't have a title. Or, because this one we can't say and, guys, because it will just render all of these things useless. So we just need them to check either one field is left behind. That's why we're using the or. We don't need all. Well, it can work. All fields must be true, but I think suspect that you also get the same get an error. We need this in order to show that if they skip one. Okay, I hope that makes sense. You can experiment with the AND operator, and then you can say author and stack them as much as you want, category, or no volume, or Oh yeah. So I just need one of these guys to be missed. Then I can trigger an alert. Nope. Alert dot alert. Then turns yellow, which tells me that I must put my bracket. Then I can say, please fill in all text boxes. Whatever I want to write here, it's up to you. It's just an error. And then you just have to throw in a return statement. So we don't add the book yet, just throw in a return statement. We will do that later on. Okay, that's all that we needed to do that. Then you can go all the way down where we stopped. All right, so let's say I want to check something. I think we need to add. So go and grab from here where it says create, grab all of these until there. So start where we created a new book object all the way to an alert. Control C X, sorry, to cut. And then you must put it inside of here, not inside the if statement, but outside of the closing curly brace of your if statement. Just put it there. And then you can just close this statement because I suspect it might cry at the end, but take fine. Let's just say end of handle and book function. Okay, we left with one more thing. Then I'll send you guys the style sheet. Again, you're allowed to jump off as long as you join. You will have access to the recording. All right. So now at the end of your handle, but within the add book function, I'll repeat that. At the end of the handle add book function, but within the add book function, please open a space a bit. So now what we are going to do now is that we are going to define how the add book screen is supposed to look like, just like we have done with the home screen. So this will be a little bit different because it has some text field that needs to be filled. Let's start with the return statement, because remember the return, it's what gives the user what they see on the screen. Okay, and we said that if you're dealing with the return, it's what they see on the screen. Automatically, it should tell you that you are dealing with view. So that would be less than, and then you go for view. You know the drill. We add a style for how our view is supposed to look like. And then that will be styles dot container. You see your classmates, they are making noise outside. They didn't bother attending class. All right, so let me go and grab that one that assists me to add comments so that it can assist you guys. Grab that one, scroll all the way down. There. And then let's add a page title. Class rep, remind me to take a register of people who attended this class. It will help you guys when I mark. Please remind me. all of you guys, when you submit, in fact, you are allowed on the, you see when you submit, it allows you to type a message, right? So just write that you attended the class during test week. I'll also verify this with the timetable that I'll not the attendance. I'll put the attendance here, but if you remind me on your submission, I will know. It's for your advantage. Please don't forget to do that. All right, so now we just want to add a title. So not a title, sorry. It's a text, but we want to write a title. So let's just add style. And then we know the drill. And then that will be styles dot header. We're only going to do this once. And then we're going to add book. That's it. So now just going to paste this again. You can write, if you didn't do it there at the top, just create an empty one so you can reuse over and over to write your comments. So we're going to say create an input field that will hold a form. So an input field, you see, like when you're filling forms, it will says enter your name, and then there is a box where you type your name. That is an input field. We refer to that as an input field. So we are going to create that for our users. So to do that, we use what we call, exactly as it is called, text input. It is called text input. Again, this is a self-closing tag. So just do it like that. I know this because I've done it. So you guys, you can experiment. Just close it with the first one. If it gives you an error when you're done, try the self-closing tag. I don't know why they did this. It's supposed to refuse if it's a self-closing tag. Okay, we don't make the rule. Just open a space for me there so we can create the field. Okay, so there are three things that are important. Let me just do this. I hope this will allow me to demonstrate what I want to show you guys. Okay, so let's say we have like name, then we put that, then there we have a box that is supposed to take the name. So what happens here is that an input field is this box. We refer to this as an input field, but it doesn't go alone. It goes with what we call a label. So the label guides the user on the information that they're supposed to type into this box. So behind the scene, what people don't see is that these two guys, they communicate with one another so that they know that the information that they have here belongs to where, to what. So you need three things there. So number one, you need, which is this guy. We refer to this as a placeholder. You get the three. So this, it's called a label, but we also refer to this as a placeholder. A placeholder, we'll get an eraser. How do you even use this thing? Doesn't allow me to erase. Okay, does. So I almost misled you there. So have you seen something like, let me find a green there, and then I'll just write my name. I'm sure you guys have seen something like this, that it asks you, this is a label, and then the placeholder, it's that faint text there that you see. I'm seeing some forms you see like John Doe. That's what they write to give you an idea or a direction of what you're supposed to type. And then this box, it has, so we need three things here. It doesn't even allow me to type. So a placeholder, an input field, it needs three things. So I'll just say input field needs three things. One, you need to specify a placeholder, which is a faint text that guide the user on what to type. That's number one. Number two, you need storage in which to store that text, and we call it value. Three, what must happen after typing? We call this, the English there, on change text. So what happens is that you have a box there that guides the user on what to type. And then if I type my name, there's something that stores my name. And then when I click add there, then the text changes to that name that I typed. So you need that for all text field input, text input. So let's start with the first one. We're going to do this for all fields. We have 5 of them. So we're going to do all of this. So we already have a text input. So let's start with the first one, which is placeholder. You can see that we're going to get the double quote for this case. Let's start with the title. This is where we want the user to type the title, right? And then the second one, it's the value. And then we don't want that value. It should be a title that the user is going to type. So we're going to refer to this. That will be our value. And then what will happen after typing? So that will be on change text. On change text, what must happen? Now we're going to go and grab the set title, because that's the one that tracks all the changes. And then we'll just go and update the current state. So we can have a style here so that it looks a little bit neat. The style is not important, but you need to have it. So we'll call this input. So let me just add comments here. We'll do this quickly. Say grayed out hint for the text. And then this will be the current value shown in the box. And then what to do when the user types, must update the title. Then lastly, I'm just going to add the comment once because we're going to do the same thing over and over. How should the box or input box must look like? Okay, so that's it. And then we're done with the first one. So make sure that you don't put the next one inside of this one because you're going to get an error. We'll do the last one and then we copy and paste. Less than input Yeah, my brain is tired. Again, self-closing tag. So you know what? I'm just going to copy this No, it's fine. You don't have to. And then open a space. You know the drill. The first thing, placeholder. What do we need for the second one? We need an author. Value. That will be author. And then on change text, that will be set author. And then lastly, style. Styles dot input. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this, paste it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is not aligning properly. Okay, perfect. Now let's change everything. Will be volume. Set volume, the input will be the same. And then that will be category. And then that will be set category. The style will be the same. Then lastly, that will be the year. And then set year. Okay. All right, so we come to the end of our add book function. So now let's go and set up our main navigation, which is the home page, what it's supposed to show. And then I'll share with you guys. Just give me 10 minutes and then we finish with the whole application. Now, that will be to run it. And then we'll see if we get errors and then we troubleshoot together and then that will be done. So I'll give you guys an activity. This will be based on your part 2. It's not for submission. So I talked with my tutors how we want to do it. We want to assist you guys with your part 2. So coming back, when we come back for classes officially after this test week, because what we have done here covers what you're supposed to do for your assignment. So I'll give you guys tasks that you must complete in class that has to do with your actual assignment. So it won't be big. I'll move it in increments. So I'll tell you guys for today's class, I'll take attendance for that because that is compulsory. You cannot tap out from that. So I'll say, okay, for Tuesday when we meet, you must have created like maybe did like 4 imports. And then you're going to explain to me all the imports, what they're supposed to do. And then we will be working around to assist you guys. These will help you to do your part 2 so that by the time you submit, you know that you have a fully functional application. That is the route that we want to take to meet you guys halfway. So we'll see how it progresses from there. Hopefully it will work. So go all the way, but inside of the export, the default function. So we're just going to put a comment there and say create a main navigation for the entire application. All right. So to do this, we must put it inside of a return statement. Again, you know the drill. We can't do the views here because we have done it. All we need to do is to go and grab those screens and call them inside of this main return statement so that we can see all of that. So the first thing that we need to do is create a navigation. So we have done that. All we need to do is to call our navigation container. You just type nav and then it will pop up. Then just close it. This is not a self-closing tag. All right. So that's the first thing. So again, the example of a shopping cart. You are in Pick and Pay now, which is the navigation container. Now you want to be able to pick up items. You need a trolley. So now let's go and specify which navigation do we want. So you say less than. Remember we created our trolley there at the top, which is called tab. If you scroll all the way up, this guy there, that's the one that we created at the beginning. That's our trolley. You say tab dot. We are looking to create a navigation. So I'll go with navigator. This is not a self-closing tag, so you must give it a friend. So now, let me see, we need a comment once again. Pardon me. Joseph to go and grab it. Just put it close by. There we go. Okay. So now we are going to use screen options to customize how our navigation is going to look like. All right, so with that one said, we are going to use screen. So we're just going to say screen options. Okay, almost made a mistake there. So do me a favor, remove that. You must put it inside of this guy. Now the HTML won't work because this is a React Native, so it takes that. It must be within there. And then I'll just do this one as well. So that's for us to be able to get the screen option because it is inside of Navigator. So just say screen should pop up now, just screen options. And you can see now it wants you to provide the TypeScript or JavaScript code that you want. So the first curly braces is for that. And then the second one, you're going to put your round brackets. You can see it's yellow. It's expecting a method. And then now, put that like that. Inside, it's an object. So what we're going to do now is to create a route, like a path. How do you get to navigation screen? How do you get to add book screen? So that's what we need to create now. So we are going to call the middleman. We'll refer to this guy whenever we want to call home screen or add screen. We're going to call him route. You can call him anything for that matter. It's just an object name. Create a method or an arrow function. You say equals to in front of the yellow curly brace, not curly brace, a round bracket. Then all you need to do now is that's your function. And then, yeah, brace, like remember the last time when we did this, we had a lot of curly braces. So we are going to do that as well. So put another pair of curly braces and press down. So inside there, we are going to customize how this screen is supposed to look like. First of all, we're changing the color of our screen, not the color, the appearance of our object. And that's what I just did there with the curly braces inside. So I want to get the icon first. So the icon, it's called, you get it by typing tab bar icon. Tab bar icon. If you don't see it, it means that you didn't install the vector icons, and then you didn't import this guy. So you can check on the chat section if you don't have it. I did provide the command to do that, and then you can just go and type that import. So it's just import space, open curly brackets, ion icons, and then you press tab, everything will pop up. So let's start with our icons. How do we want it to appear? There's a lot of curly braces here. First of all, I want to provide it with color. So just say color. You see that I pressed the tab there and it changed my color to the capital letter 1. Please don't fall for that. And then I also want the size. This we have done it to our first example that we did. So inside, in front of this blue round bracket, not blanket, do an arrow function once again so that you can tell it where to show this icon. So, forgive me with the curly brackets. I get confused sometimes. That's why I try to add comments, just that my brain now is tired. So let's just use an if statement. We'll just say if route, which is our middleman, dot name. If the name of that screen is equals to, use 3 of them, is equals to home, and then assign the icon that we want, which is return, brace with me here. And then to get our I, you just put less than sign icons, and then it needs a name. And then you gotta put this one, call this home. Those are the icons that you want. I want the home icon. So that's, you can experiment with the other ones. And then the size, or just say size, I will allow IntelliSense to do this for us. And then color, we are going to specify the color later on using our style sheet. And then this is a self-closing tag. So you just close your icon. So I'm just going to do the same thing for our add page. I'm not going to copy and paste because there's a lot of curly braces here. I'll just say if route dot name is equals, I've made an example of the equal sign while we're using the 3 equal sign. So everything must match, everything, including the data source, everything must match. So that's why we're using that. Then we can say, we call this add book. Then we're going to put a return statement, icons, and then we need a name. Let's call this add. It will give us a plus sign. Maybe let's do this with a cycle. You can experiment. That's an icon, nothing much there. And then we're going to do the same thing, size, pass size, and then color. We're going to pass color as well. Then remember to close it. Okay, for this one, there you have the closing curly braces of the second if statement, and you have this one for the tab bar, put a comma there. It will cry at the end, and then go there for me and put this comment, say end of screen option. Perfect. And then find this sign there for me to go inside. And then now let's create those screens so that it's able to call them. You realize that we called it home there. We called this one add book, which does not match with the one that we did there at the top. So we need to match this one with home screen, the one that we created, match this one with add book. So just go there. Please make sure you put it below this greater than sign. And then you're doing the same thing. We get our trolley. Now we're getting the screens. So you just say screen. Always remember the screen is a self-closing tag. So I'll just do it here before I can start with anything. Now I can call name. Please use the double quotes there for me. And then name, make sure it matches this one there. So I'll just copy it instead of typing. Then that will be home. Now we say component. Now we're going to link this to the actual screen. We called ours, you can verify, scroll all the way. You can see the second one, it's called add screen. Just checking it because we will need that one. This one is called home screen. Sorry, all the way down. So let's call the first one, which is home screen. Now we have linked the home and the actual screen. So we're going to do this, the same thing for the second one, which is someone asked me, I think, is it Joseph? I forgot your name. Someone, if you are here, someone came here and asked me if we can create external screens. Like you create a folder, you put the screens, you're allowed to do that. I found it that it's a little bit advanced level because it needs you to link it properly here. But if you want to clean your code like that, you're more than welcome to do that. I won't penalize you guys for that. Or you can just do everything just as I did here on the same one screen. Whichever way you feel comfortable with, I'm completely fine with that one. We're getting a screen once again. We need a name. Please write it exactly as it is. I called it add book with a space there. So I'm just going to remove the single quote and type that. And then I need a component. And then the component, I think I called it add book script. Don't forget to close it. Right, so everything should be fine. So now, what I want you to do now, let me go, I put this here. I'll put it on the chat. I asked chat just a disclaimer to assist with styles. And I told you guys you're allowed to use chat to create styles for you. I'm fine with that. So you'll copy everything. I put it on the chats, everything there. Then let me just reduce the space there because I moved everything down there at the bottom. Just not sure if the one that chat did for us has the container. Okay, it has a container. So all the way down, you're going to get this. Highlight all of it and paste the one that you just copied. Let me do it again. Find the const style equals to style sheet dot create, highlight all of it, paste. You're allowed to use chat or any AI of your choice for style sheet. You need to declare on your submission. So this one does not have a paper. So all you're going to do here, add a comment and say declaration of AI usage. Whatever, and then you can say I have used AI to generate. I'll add a comment, put this as a comment. Say comment to generate a style sheet only. That's what you are allowed. You can also maybe troubleshoot. You might use AI to troubleshoot and troubleshoot. You're allowed to do that. And then you're going to provide a link. You put it a link there of what you did. So we have one error now. Just have to go and find this error. Where is it coming from? Okay, this is not supposed to be there. Okay, just check how many errors you have on your site. You shouldn't have any error. Okay, if that's the case, then click Control Save. And then before you disappear, let's see how it looks like. And then we can solve all the errors together, because there's no way that it might run the first time you will get errors. So we're going to do it together so you see how I troubleshoot myself. So the first thing, open BlueStack for those who are using the VMs. Just a reminder, guys, we are nearing month end of September. Please go and move everything from your old VMs and then load it onto the new one. I still don't have access. I'll just ask next week. I'll just move my stuff as well so I can move them. And then probably when we come back for class, we will be using the new VMs. But for now, let's just see how it looks like. So what I'm gonna do is that on Thursday, you don't have to join. I want you guys to complete this application that when we meet, you'll see, show me how it works on your screen. So what I'm gonna do is that I'll throw you guys an extension of this video. You realize that we don't have this price here, and there's no way to add an image, and we can't get an average. So the one that I want to do now, it targets also your POE. I want to add the price, add an image, and also that when someone clicks a book and information should show. You'll see when we run it that you can only see it, but you can't click a particular book to see more about it. So that's what I want to add. And then you guys, you can build on that whenever you have time. But I will be here on Thursday as well on campus. Should you need assistance, you're more than welcome to come. I'll be here. I'll leave, I think, 5. So let's just wait for it. Okay, then we're going to run for BlueStacks. Right, fine. Then I'll go back to our project, go for, then I'll just say npm, and Android, you can use npx, it doesn't matter. Either way will work. Just give it a second. Okay, it's still running. Just put this guy there. And it takes time a bit. I think the Expo one should have, if you've been following along, it should have run now. Because the beauty of using Expo is that it's a little bit quick. Okay, don't have any error. Let me just maximize this so you can see. Let me move this guy, maybe down there at the bottom. Okay, this is how our screen looks like. You can see it looks a little bit dull, but gets the message across. That's the title that we did so far. We have 0 books, and then that error message says no books added yet. go to add book to add some. That's our home page. We have our icon and then we have our add book there. So let me just click this. Now we have an error there. So let's see. Okay, we can't click this because let's go back. We don't have our gesture, but it's there. Okay, error native gesture must be used as a descendant of this root, otherwise the gesture can't see this error. Okay, we need to go and check if we have installed properly, because that might be causing an error. So we're gonna go back to the command. I think for group 1 it should have worked properly. Also there, just pass in a button for me. Okay, so that's the beauty of that, because now we need to, usually it shows us where the error is coming from. Okay, let's follow this. Will give us an installation code that we can use. But I think we did the last time, didn't we, with that long code that we installed? Yeah, let's just go and install it. So just go back to the terminal. Okay, let's stop. You click Ctrl+C so that it stops running. Let me put this on the chats as well. Put that. Okay, let's go back. Okay, it's installed. And then we just have to go and import it. Okay, it wants us to wrap, so let's just try it again. npx export start. Okay, let's see. And we'll close this. Let me reload. Not mistakes now, that's not want to run. We close it. Control C. And then go and open it again. So that should solve the error, guys, that installation of that gesture that they want. So it's back. Let's run it again. Might take time a little bit because we've ran it. Seems like it's a little bit stuck behind. Okay. Someone is joining now that we are about to end the class. There anyone who was following along? Or I was too fast? Yeah, you can run it. Try to run it on your side, guys. It should be fine. My blue stack doesn't want to open anymore. Okay, let's try it one more time before you disappear. Okay, let me run this once again. Okay, already connected. So this tells you that the actual app is fine. The issue is on our add button screen. So that's the issue there. So if it tries again, we need to inspect that page and see what's the issue. Because the app, it shows that it works. And move this a little bit down. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're still getting the same error. So let me inspect our add button. Maybe we missed something there at the screen. Okay, Made a mistake. So below there, we don't have a button that should add the book. Button, title, no, add book, on press, must call, handle add book. That's a self-closing tag. And save it. Let's go back again. Okay, we're still getting the same error. Okay, let's troubleshoot all one by one. It's okay. If you spot any mistake, I hope you can. And I can guarantee you it's a comma, it's a curly brace, it's somewhere where we put it where it's not supposed to be. Yeah, I'm gonna move this. Move this there at the top. I'm gonna move this there at the top. And then let's get a new terminal. I'll let you guys know what's the issue. I'm just checking what I think could be the problem. Okay. And then say input react react dash native posit and then save and then npx start export. Oh, made a mistake. npx export start. Yes. Yeah, it's still crying. Render error. So native view gesture must be used as a descendant of, otherwise the gesture will not be recognized. I don't need to install this. This does not make sense. Okay, let me try that. Uh, now it destroys my whole application. Let's rep. What did I type wrong or extra somewhere there? Can go through my application. Default. The strings looks fine, and then the app looks fine. And then I created an object and arrayed there. That's fine. And then I created a home screen function, and inside there I created a view. That is fine. This one works. That's fine. So there we know this one is okay. It's fine. Then we're done with our home screen. Then after that, we created a function that is called a book, which has 5 variables. Did I misspell anything there? Set author, volume, category, the year. Guys, if you see something, let me know. Then we are fine. And then after that, we created a rental add book method or function. And then inside there, we just check if all of these guys empty. And then we say that if it's empty, we just provide this message. So that is fine. And then after that, we create a new book, a book of our array. And we say the title, the author, the volume, the category, and the year. And then now we just want to clean our books when the user types in. So it's fine. And then everything is fine. And then once it's added, we just add an alert that the book is added successfully. Sharp. Then we did a return. The add book. And then we had a text input. We have a placeholder, blah, 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 all of those things. That's our first input. And then we have the author. We do have it for the volume. And then we have it for the category, and then the year. And then we added a button that was missing. And then we finished. And lastly, we created a navigation menu. I think that the error is here. Navigation container, and then we just tap into the navigator. Inside the navigator, we are using screen options. And then we open for TypeScript. Then we have a method, we created a route, which is fine. And then we goes into we're changing our object where we're relying on the tab bar icon. That is fine. And then sorry, with the color and the size. And then we do an arrow function. We just do an if statement if root dot name is equals to home, which we have provided. We can just say you return the icon's name, which should be called home. Provide a size and a color. Perfect. Did the same thing there. And then we went ahead with the tab screen. We called it home screen. If it's breaking when we get here, the add book screen. Sharp. Then we close our tab navigator. As I literally don't see anything faulty here. Our application is clean. I'm not sure where is this coming from, but into this, I want to be able to get this error. Let's see, finish class component. Can't even click these errors. I'm sure inside here. Okay, let me terminate and run it. I want to grab the error. Run it again. Yes. It's the first way to do this. We'll find out where the error is coming from. In fact, let me just take all of it. This is a tool that you can see because for now it's difficult to spot where's the error. You click this button to change this into text. Select all the text. This is how we use AI to troubleshoot. Here's my code. Point me to where the error is coming from and what is causing it. Impossible solution. Don't change my code. Just point me. Now just go Ctrl+Alt copy. So this is the chat link that you're supposed to provide. So error must be used as a descendant of that, otherwise it will not. The error is caused by using text input from instead of text input. Oh, okay. So text input, we say must come from React Native. Save it. Let's do it again. I hope you guys are paying attention on how I'm solving this error. I didn't ask AI to write my work, because if you don't have errors now, it's difficult. And React Native, the errors are not descriptive enough. So I just gave it everything and asked it not to write my application. And then you can see that the first suggestion, it told me that the error where it's coming from, I didn't know where it's coming from because we have written this. So probably it's the autocomplete there when we're busy clicking tab. So let's just see if this solves the error. I suspect this will want us to close this thing and open it again. Yeah. Close. Then I'll just cancel this. Go back to BlueStacks. The run BlueStacks should still be connected. Yes. Let's see what we have now. This is why, guys, I wouldn't advise you to do part 2 on the day of your submission, because React Native will likely give you an error. Trust me. So let me reload. No apps connected. Seems like it doesn't want us to 10 p.m. on Android. Press Y. Voila. So an error was there. We were never going to find it ourselves. Okay, let's just type the title, C#, and then author, volume 1, category, programming, and then here, 2022. Okay, books. You can see now clear. Let's add the last one. Intro to React Native. Author, volume 12, category, Mobile app, year 2023. Click add. And then we go back to our app. You can see now the count is changed. We have 2, and then that's the book. That's the intro. So what I was saying is that when you click this, it should bring all the information about this book and it should show the image, but it's not there at this moment. The same as this one, and you only have a number there. We don't have a price of this book to be able to get a reference, not a reference, an average. So we need to go and change that. Remember those vertical lines that I did? So it appears like this. When you put them one by one, it will just appear just like that. So it's up to you guys how you want to do it. But the video that will come on Thursday, it will allow you to add a link, the price, get an average, the same as this one, and then this one has nothing to do here. We're done with it. That's it. That's the only thing that we need to do. So with that one said, I'll share this code on ARC, the full of it, right after when I stop recording this session. Any question? You see, I also get errors, right? And you saw how I solve my errors. That is how you do it. So if you did it like that, it means that you are going to take this as a link. If you don't want to open a profile, just take a picture from there at the beginning. And then you also put this in a Word document so that we see that this is how we use the AI. So you can see the prompt that I gave it. I didn't tell it to give me an answer. And I didn't tell it to fix it for me. I just asked it to tell me where's the issue. And as soon as I read the first line, I didn't even scroll down there. I knew where was the problem because it pointed me and I knew where to fix it. So that is what I expect from all of you guys. If you don't have a question, thank you for joining. I shall see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your break.